Okay, guys. So first, just take a couple of minutes to review what we have learned for the whole week, right? We will learn how to use components to split our code into smaller parts and then store them in different files. So what's the purpose of having many components? Cleaner code, easier to debug, faster rendering, easier to follow the logic. What else?
Reusability.
Like
reusability.
Yes. It's recyclable. Okay. The next thing is props. What's props? Props is just like how you pass from the parent to the children. And one more thing that's very important is props is immutable. Props is immutable. You cannot change the value of props inside the children components. You can only call it, you cannot change it. If you want to change it, you have to change the state in your parent, and then you have to pass it again to your children. Okay. For example, if I have in my arc component, I have a state number equal to 5. I pass the number to my children, and inside my children, I cannot change the number to 6. For example, I can change it. If I want to change it to 6, I have to update my parent state number from 5 to 6, and then pass it again to the children. Okay, and state is basically what exists only inside the components, right? And then when you pass it to other component, it's called props. It's not state anymore. It means state only exists inside that specific component. Okay, CSS. Maybe it's just a handy way to write HTML code in your JavaScript file. Before we go into this assignment, the second part of the lecture assignment, let's first review what we have learned yesterday, especially yesterday. We know how to use the lifecycle in Hook, using Hook, and the normal React.js, right? The old way and the new way. So let's go back and see the code here. On the left hand side is I use Hook on the left hand side. On the right side we use the old way of class-based component, right? So for class-based component, this is how we initialize our component. Okay, using this syntax. Compared to the Hook, just one line. Okay. What is use state? It's something we get from React Hook to set the initial value of our state, piece of state weather. Okay. Next, to mount our component, we use in the class-based component, we use component did mount. Okay. And whenever our component is mounted, we call the function right away. In Hook, we use the syntax use effect, and we call function, and we give another. The second element here is an array, empty array. It means to run only one time. Same thing, they are equivalent. Okay, and then we update whenever we want to update our component, because some props change, right? We receive some prop from the parent, some prop change. We want to update our component, re-render. So this is how we do it using the old way. Component did update. We get the previous props, we compare it with the current props. Actually, not current prop, it's kind of like the current one, and then we do something. In Hook, we use this syntax. Same thing with this, but inside the empty array here, we have one element called it's like a props that you want to keep track of, right? If the props change, you call the function again. Yeah, could be something else. For example, weather. Yeah. Basically, it's what you want to keep track of. Whenever it changes, you update your whole component.
So we have to use electronics.
Yes, you can.
We have to.
Yes, you should. You have to separate them, right? This one is run only one time when you mount the component. This it can be run multiple times. Whenever this piece of prop changes, you call it again.
It depends what you're tracking, right?
Yeah.
So
You can have another one, use effect, and then you have another props. It's okay.
the first one runs every time the page reloads because there's nothing inside the brackets.
Yeah.
So the second one, you're telling it when you want to reload by putting something in brackets. So if you want that to run again based off of something like props, then you put that in the brackets. It doesn't have to be props, it could be something else. But
Normally you keep track of props
yeah, usually.
because they is automatic re-render.
Two props in that props that change, and then you put another one with a comma separating it. Would that be the same as creating a new updating? Like, would it update on either scenario changes? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Not quite, not really.
So if I was to look on line 18,
Yeah.
here you've got props dot that change. If I put a comma there and then put props dot something else,
Yeah,
that
it's a
change,
comma. It's an array. It
will
takes
it
many
then-
elements.
Will it then work? Will it run that update if either of those change,
Mhm.
or will it only run if both of those change?
Not either.
Either.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, we maybe only need to use two use effects.
Yes, many times.
Most cases.
Most cases. Yeah.
So-
Maybe you need more.
Huh?
Maybe you need more because, for example, let's copy it here and then paste again. I want to run something else. Blah blah. Okay.
For a different function. then.
For different
Yeah.
props. Number 2, for example. Okay. Different purpose.
So you can use lots
Different
of
logic.
effects.
You can call it multiple times, as many as you want. Use effect. It's just like you have another condition here: if this prop dot user, or if this prop dot username, something like that, and then you do another thing instead of this dot get location. Okay. Okay, and here how we define a function inside a class-based component. We don't need to use cons or let or something. Just write straight the name of the function, flat arrow, and then the body. In functional based component, we need to use cons. We need to define cons. Okay, and here's how we render. We update our UI. In class based, we need to have render method. We need to have. In functional based component, we don't need to have. We just need a return, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Any questions?
So API setup is basically the same in either scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, these are just logic. It's a bit the same.
Can you share these two documents at the end?
Actually, I just copy this and then give some comments.
But could you share these to us at the end?
The end of what?
So we can have two of these files, and if I ever look at one particular thing, I can be like, I want to translate.
Oh, actually,
that.
just
You
this
see what
part.
I'm saying?
Yeah, on the right hand side.
Test.js,
Yes.
snap.js, like just share those two files so I can
Okay.
look at them after.
Actually, I just copy this part and then I paste in here, and then so I can break it out for easier to see.
He just wants a copy.
Yeah,
He
that's what I want.
he wants to look at it.
Okay, this is on the copy. Okay. Okay. I will send it to you guys
Watch the
later.
YouTube video and type it.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to our assignment. This week assignment. Okay. From my experience, coding is the best way to learn. Only when you code, you run into problems, you struggle, and you learn from problems. Right? So please spend some time to do some research. Try to solve the problem by yourself. For example, for at least 15 minutes. If you cannot solve it, you can ask your friend, you can ask us, who you can grab it. Okay. And don't spend too much time on a single problem that you cannot solve. For example, an hour, that's too much. Okay? Movie apps. So today we're gonna build a movie app using React and some API calls. Basically, it's kind of similar to our Google News, but it's kind of more interactive. It's more interesting. We can see movies, we can see the trailers, right? Instead of some news we don't care about. And it's way easier to code than using vanilla JavaScript. You don't have a backtick and a bunch of HTML string inside a backtick. Okay, here's our advice for you. First, you need to identify the user stories, identify the problems, and then you plan out everything. Don't just start coding right away, right? Spend some time, plan it out. And then you build the skeletons, the component skeleton, so you know which component is important, which component you need it, right? Which is the parent, which is the children. And then you build your whole structure. Then after that, you define which state, which properties you want to pass from the parent to the children, instead of calling from the API. And then you clean up your code, right? We'll go back to this later. Let's see. Okay, actually, just do it now. We'll do it later after this lecture. Okay. So our activities will be, we need to identify which components we need. You can use this tool on the mockup.com if you want, or you can use just your paper or draw on your Canvas or Pan, Microsoft Pan or something. I don't care, just plan out. And here's the link to if you want to read more on the React before you dive into some real application project. After that, the next week, on Monday, we will review our code. For example, we will randomly pick pair. You are paired up with another person, and then you have to read his code. And then you have to implement another feature into his code. The purpose is you have the ability to read someone else's code, and then you understand it, make use of it, and maybe make it your own. Okay, so please comment. Right? Please write. It makes sense. Don't write A equal B, construct A, construct B, or something like that. Name the variable that makes sense to us, right? To the reader. Maybe if just one time, maybe full bar, it's okay. You name full bar, I know, it's just one time. You can use only once and you don't care about that variable anymore. So you can name it full and bar. But if you going to recycle that variable, that state multiple times, please name it, like for example, movie list, movie data, movie description, something. Okay, that's it. Oops. Okay, we start with a mock. We decide what should we see on the UI, and then we imagine our data. This one hard. Then you break the UI into different components, right? Which is the parent, which is the children. Here, this is our app. The orange box here is our app, and then we have another component. The blue box here is one component. We can call it a search box. Okay, and here you render it. How do you render it? You render a map, maybe, because it's a list, an array. So you map it. So each red box here It's another component. Yeah, a children component. You call it multiple times. You run a map. You call it. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah. And here's how the code works. Oh, they're hard coding it.
Yeah, it says build static version.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
And then I imagine next they'll build their interactive.
That's it. This is the old way of writing React class-based component. Spend some time read this, and it's very useful. Data flow means like inside your children component, you want to change update the state of your parent, right? It's called inverse data flow, because right now React is like one direction flow, right? You can only pass the data from the parent to the children. You cannot pass the other way. Instead, you set state the parent inside your children components. That's called inverse data flow. That's it. Okay, any questions?